You smell what the Rock is cooking.
Acknowledge me.
You don't know what hard times are, Daddy.
We are bad to the bone. Get it? Bad to the bone.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
I'll fight anybody. Who do you want? Just let me fight him.
Let me tell you something, Jim Ross.
Mega power, yeah.
We got it for you.
We are the best of the best.
Woo! Wheeling, dealing.
Smart marks.
And that's the bottom line, cause Stone Cold said so.
Welcome to Talking in the Building, a pro wrestling podcast where we focus on the pro wrestling promo. I'm Adalid out here in LA, joined by the homies out in Atlanta, holding that down for FIFA for the World Cup over here. Got Greg having a ball out there at these watch parties. Got the homie over here, Adrian. What's up, Adrian?
What up? What up?
And together, like Devastator of the Transformers, we are your co-hosts for the Talk 'em in the Building podcast. And this is it, fellas. It's amazing. We're at 99. If this is your first time joining us, this is a perfect time to come on in. We've got a whole back catalog of 98 episodes in the books. Intothebuilding.com is going to get you to all of them. Like, comment, subscribe. And to all the listeners and those that follow us on YouTube too, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being part of our conversations. And again, drop those comments as we go along. Really appreciate hearing from y'all, whatever is contribution you have. But as we dig in, we are in, that after Mania season, and we got so much wrestling. I'll tell you, fellas, right off the top of the bat, as we go in, I love the promo, but I love live wrestling, right? Mm-hmm. And for those of you that are here for the first time, again, we focus on the promo. We talk about the talkaroos. We hype the hype, man. We pontificate on the promo. And I haven't been to a live show in a long time, so I took the time and bought a ticket. Pretty Peter Avalon, who used to wrestle for AEW or still does to some extent, I'm not sure. He's starting a promotion. And I figured, let me buy a ticket, right? So it's those kind of things where I'm like, maybe my heart's not in the main promotion so much, as it were, day to day.
Fair.
I look at those. But I'm going to bring the conversation back to current events to a point, because we all love talking about, not necessarily how we would book things, but I want to get your thoughts, gentlemen, as we dive in tonight. There's been a lot said about a certain Sami Zayn and, how he held the title, but keeping him almost on a pause here. I want to ask you guys just to get the conversation started, because I feel like we're gonna have different thoughts on this. What are your thoughts on the function of a transitional champion? Is it necessary? Is there other ways of, maybe passing the torch along? Like, what have been your feelings on transitional champions in the time that you've been pro wrestling fans? Because I can't think of anyone that stands out. And if they stood out, it's because it was a big show already and they happened to be on it. So I'll kind of start off with the one that comes to mind. And I always think of that Zack Ryder win almost, because that's the one that he got his moment, right? He came out on top, but it was, it was what it was. And it's like, it's a nice clip to have. But if you ask him in interviews, I don't know if he would feel the same way. But Greg, I'm going to come to you for kind of the historical view of it all. Beyond just, we're WWE centric sometimes, or AEW, but in the grand scheme of pro wrestling, has there been transitional champs that have withstood the test of time?
Well, I'll throw one at you that actually did, who's a Hall of Famer today. That's Edge. The first time they gave him that championship, it was a transitional championship that was a test. So I think that's the other part. Is sometimes you may do a transitional champion early on and test it. How do the fans react? What happens? Can they carry even for the week or 2 weeks, whatever they may have it? How does that fall? Because you think about when Edge first got that first one, and I've heard him talk about it in interviews. Because the plan wasn't for me to get it, and then when I did get it, we knew I was going to drop it quickly. He goes, but I knew I had to do whatever I could with it during that time frame. And then, of course, he becomes a multi-champion and all that kind of stuff down the road. Others, we see Miz in that role, right? With the Bobby Lashley thing. And it was, I think it depends on the person. Some people, that's their role. Their role is to play upper mid card. I'm here to get as opposed to transitional champion, I'm here to get others over.
Mm-hmm.
Jake the Snake was a transitional talent.
Mm-hmm.
He got people over. So was Razor Ramon. You think about it, they had these pieces where they got people over, and now later on there were some people who did it with the championship. So I think it's a role for some.
Yeah.
Like you said that about Zack
Yeah.
Ryder, there was a huge WrestleMania moment. I was disappointed the next night, but I've never heard him say anything negative about. He's like,
Right.
I didn't care. I got that. Got that night before. So I don't know that he ever cared.
And it's interesting you bring up the idea of transitional talent almost, because it's like you said, we look at a Razor and he's not a negative, right? It's like it almost worked in his favor. I mean, look at that crossover in WCW. He's like a big deal. He had a character, he had merch, he had the whole thing, he had the whole package. And at no point where like, I mean, I'm sure the board still existed back then and whatever it was, but it wasn't, I don't think it was like, oh, he needs to be in the main event or something like it. I was like, yeah, it's Razor. He's cool. You know, it is what it is. Adrian, I know we've had maybe conversations off air regarding this, but I want to see kind of your thoughts historically or maybe in more recent memory in terms of your thoughts on quote unquote transitional champions too.
I'm a fan of transitional champions just because it's an element of non-predictability of professional wrestling versus predictability. Some, like Greg said, and I'll continue to say that everyone has a role. This is a predetermined sport. This is something that has been planned. It's not for shoot. Everything has its spot. Everyone has their role. Some people thrive in that role. Some people don't. And it ultimately does fall on the company to tell the story, to bring us along so that we can feel good about it being in the hands of a transitional champion versus kind of what has happened recently, them just doing it. And then we're like, what the hell? And now even more so, what the hell? You know, it's it's really ultimately on the company. I'm not going to put it, I'm going to say some of the blame does go on the talent, on how they handle it. We've seen transitional champions, Austin Aries, handle things the wrong way. We've seen it. We've seen it live and on television. But there are a lot of guys that are professionals. You said Miz, Greg. That's a great example of someone who understands that he has a role in that company. It is what it is. If he's a champ for a year, if he's a champ for 20 seconds, he knows he has a role. And I think that's important. But on the end of the booker and the creative, that's what I care about. What's the journey to get us from that transitional champion? You know, it's not just point A, point B, point C. I want to learn the route that we're going.
And it breaks convention, right? To do that. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think there's some that have failed.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's some that they came in, ooh, that probably didn't going to work. But if you really think about some other Hall of Famers, Mankind was a transitional champion.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kane. There was a point where Taker was Taker when he won I think the belt against Sid. That was just like, I don't know what else to do with the belt. Give it to him and get it off to somebody else. I think Bret or whoever it was. But it was like it happens all the time. But Jericho. Think about Jericho's first reign.
That's right.
Huge transitional champion. Nobody took that dude serious. You can brag all you want to. You beat The Rock and Stone Cold the same night. Nobody cared until you left and came back. And calling it what it is. And he became a main eventer. Rey Mysterio. So, but at that time, that was their role. And you know, to your point, I think the issue is that fans today don't see that. And there's an elite. Over the years, there's always been an elite. Here's the ceiling. Here's Flair, Hogan, Austin, Roman, Cody, Punk. You know, there's a certain level that's up there. They're not going to be that, but they had to earn it. Punk had to earn that. You can say Punk was a transitional champion at one point.
That's true.
But
That's true.
It's just like, you know, it's kind of like paying your dues. How do you handle it?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, oh, you know what? Let's try that again. Let's see what happens. Like Jericho.
Yeah.
Sasha
And
Banks
then,
was a transitional champion, but
Yeah.
sadly, it was just to one person. Like,
That's
she
true.
kept losing to Charlotte every time. Like,
oh
geez,
man, that's like this time it's gonna work, right?
right?
Which props to everybody for at
Yeah,
least sticking
yeah.
with it. But you mentioned something, Greg, too. You called it like a transitional talent too, and I go back to like Daniel Bryan, who was like, I'd even argue he wasn't even at the level of a transitional champion. I don't think. I think I remember him having like the U.S. title at best, like at some point. I mean, that was kind of the crowd just got the better of it. But yeah, I think it's important to kind of calm down a little bit when these things happen and just see it for what it is, because ultimately, like to your point, we're building toward bigger ideas, right? And in an era where there's so much money involved, like why wouldn't you feature your top players, basically?
Yeah. Well, all right,
You
let me
have
ask
to honor them.
Let me throw a question back at you guys. So thinking about the transitional champions who worked or didn't work, and you just mentioned Daniel Bryan, right? If you think about when he lost the world championship, he's kind of transitioned to give it to Sheamus, right?
Yeah.
What, 30 seconds or whatever. But that's kind of when the yes movement started to go, and people got behind him, and then it sustains even to this day. It's the yes thing, right? I'm gonna flip it to Kofi. Everybody got behind Kofi Mania. He was a conduit to Fox, not to Brock, to Fox.
100%.
The moment he lost, and everybody's like, oh my God, they put him back in the tag team. No fans got behind him. Fans did not get behind him. Like they didn't sustain it. They accepted it. And there's a difference. Like they revolted. Like people lost their brains when, Daniel Bryan, they tried to put him with the Wyatts, and then, oh no, that can't happen. Or the whole, and I'm just using different examples where fans get behind him. Like when, oh, you know what, we're not going to have, Cody's going to be a transition to let The Rock come in here and do this. No, we're not. We're going to revolt. It's always bothered me that the fans, yes, they were mad about Kofi losing to Brock the way he did, but they didn't hijack shows. They didn't lose their minds. It was kind of like, yeah, you know what? Because at the end of the day, and I love Kofi. Kofi had a role too.
Yeah, 100%.
And it ain't Brock. I'm just saying, I love Kofi to death. He's been one of my favorites forever. So before anybody comes at me, go ahead. I don't care if you do. But at the end of the day, he is what he is. And the fans did not sustain it. And I say, fans can change booking. We all know that. They can change creative. But you have to sustain it. And I guarantee at that moment, Vince sat back and said, I told you.
It was just validation.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
Yeah, see, it is. But
I'd almost argue, like, to that point, because I think now I'm like, we always talk about like, well, there's no indies, there's no territory system anymore. So like, what does that leave you to build goodwill, basically? Because I think of Daniel Bryan as someone that built goodwill. He was a badass in ROH, right? He already had like the hardcores with him. It was a matter of getting the average WWE fan to basically, until they saw him as an underdog, right? They're like, oh, we actually want to get behind you. We're emotionally attached to you. And I think sometimes that's what's missing between like quote unquote transitional champion and just someone that's trying to break through and establish themselves, right? Through a catchphrase, through a look, through whatever it might be, because sometimes they just don't find it, whether they're not maximizing the TV time or not getting TV time at all. I think that's a harder play to do nowadays. And we talked about social media, but I can't think of somebody who's from outside the system, because they do so much homegrown in WWE now, that we can say, oh, they're stuck and they just haven't had that chance yet.
True.
I don't know. Maybe it's just a different time, I think, now, ultimately. Well, we're gonna dive in because I do want to explore these not, I wouldn't say they're forgotten promos, but they're definitely not as they're not gonna play in a promo package anytime soon. So I'm gonna bring to you guys some transitional champions, either in anticipation of their championship match or maybe even celebrating it here. So again, for those of you watching for the first time, we do get into some conversations and we judge the promos on their merits, right? We try to decontextualize them and just look at them for what they are. So Again, if you join us, check out the back catalog intothebuilding.com. And yeah, let us know what you think about these transitional champions. I'm going to start with one because, again, with that, Sami Zayn, when this one was making the rounds in a funny way. Well, not the promo itself, but at least the players. This is Yokozuna in anticipation of his WrestleMania match.
WrestleMania 9. Let me tell you, this is my Yokozuna.
Yes!
You, Hitman Bret Hart, is the World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Champion. You'll meet my Yokozuna come WrestleMania 9. You are a great wrestler, Bret Hart. A very sneaky, a very intelligent wrestler, and well athletic. But my Yokozuna will get you.
Yes!
He is heavily
Yes!
to defeat you in WrestleMania.
Bullseye!
WrestleMania. I've finally got to do the big match with Yokozuna and Mr. Fuji. You know, Yokozuna, he's definitely got to be the biggest threat I've ever stepped in the ring against. And I'd be a liar. I'd be a real liar if I told you that I wasn't really major concerned about this guy. This guy is definitely the most awesome, the most vicious force that I've ever had to step in the ring with, and I'm definitely concerned about it. But let me say one thing right here and right now. Mr. Fuji, mark this down. The excellence of execution has got all kinds of tricks up his sleeve. And I know all the odds makers are putting the Hitman down as a real long shot. But let me tell you something. I've been a long shot for a long time, and I'm going to be around for a long time. The World Wrestling Federation has never seen a champion like the excellence of execution, and the excellence of execution, the Hitman, is going to come through in WrestleMania.
I did leave that last clip because, you know, for those of you joining us for the first time, we got a resident Bret Hart diehard over here, our friend Adrian.
Damn right.
But
Damn
also,
right. Tell him, Bret.
I think there was merit in what Bret had to say about Yoko and building him up. So, Adrian, I'm going to come to you. Talk to me about the respect that Bret Hart puts on Yokozuna's name here.
Okay. Just talking about Bret. I'll just talk about Bret. Of course. Like, I'm just going to talk about Bret. But, yeah, I like it. I like the words. But as a Bret Hart fan, like, thank you for putting that out there. I gotta criticize my guy, man. When he said that he was concerned and all of that, there was no change of pace. There was no change of emotion. It was literally like this, essentially like this, until he gets to the end of pacing. It's not believable. I don't believe that you believe that he's a threat when his delivery, due to the delivery, I kind of question that. But I'm only saying that because you guys are going to hold me accountable for telling the truth. That's my opinion. I still love Bret to this day. But yeah, that's I love the words. Me reading his promo, if you just put his promo right there, I'm reading it. I'm like, yeah, cool, rock and roll. But the delivery was, I don't know.
And you wonder if he had a little little knowledge that we didn't at the time.
You gotta take that into account also. Yeah.
Greg, you can say a lot about this promo. You can say a lot about that day, right?
Yes,
Talk to us about Yoko and anticipating this.
I think Yoko played the role perfect because you had Fuji, right? And Yoko didn't talk. He just pretty much yelled bonsai. And Fuji, that kind of shows you how good Fuji was, because Fuji's the one that sold this match.
Yeah.
To Adrian's point, watching that, I never thought Bret was a great promo until he became a heel. And when he became a heel, that's when that whole real part came out, where he was frustrated with the fans.
Yes.
And I think that's what he taps into best. This didn't come across that way. This came across very, I'm going to lose this title. And I don't think he knew about the Hogan part yet, but I think he knew he was going to lose that title, and I don't know what to say here. But I also don't think he was a great promo at that point. I mean, it was, 1993, somewhere in that area. So
93, yeah.
And I think it's fun to see something like that because you know how much he grows. But it also goes back. Let's go back to Yokozuna. The importance of what managers can bring.
Yes.
And how great a Fuji was. The passion was there. The confidence was there. The confidence came out of Fuji, but the confidence came out of the look. So a promo is not all about the words, right? Or the delivery. It's the eyes. It's the look. And Yoko looked mean, confident. Like, I got this. And that's what I got out of that. And walking away from that promo right there, I'm like, oh, yeah, Bret's a defeated man. For two things. One, the way Bret handled his part, to Adrian's point, but really how Fuji and Yokozuna delivered theirs just kind of took it to like, oh, they're going to destroy him.
And I love that Yoko's heavy breathing can be heard. Like, so
all by design.
I pop for that. Yeah, exactly. You're right.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if it's because of the time. Obviously, it's like WrestleMania is not the WrestleMania of today, right? It's still a big deal, clearly. But it does feel a little bit underwhelming. Like the whole, like, it doesn't feel like this is for a Mania match in a lot of ways. I mean, no, those were the promos of the time. That was the style. But I think that's interesting because we've talked about this idea of transitional champions, and at no point am I seeing Yoko, and even knowing what we know afterward and how he loses it, it's like he was a made man. Like it was irrelevant what, how long he kept it or didn't, because here he is. He's a character. He's gonna be there the next night, right? I'm not worried about that necessarily. I think that's where, as a time capsule looking at it, it's nice because it's like, yeah, that's Bret wasn't quite the Bret we know, and Yoko was Yoko. That's Yoko, right? There you go. So moving on to another championship win, and this one from someone who was near and dear to my heart, but again, it wasn't always the strongest promo, but this was definitely a career highlight. And this, Greg, you mentioned it earlier, this is Rey Mysterio winning the championship on Monday Night Raw. This is the post-match. The woo headband, Zack Ryder. Oh my gosh.
Champagne bath.
Ray,
congratulations. You've been to the mountaintop before, but you've never been WWE champion. You have to be feeling amazing right now.
Josh, it's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll, baby. You know that. You know what? All the sacrifices I've made in life, everybody needs to make sacrifices if you want to get what you want in life. All those lonely nights being on the road without my children, Dominic and Aaliyah, my wife Angie. Daddy's coming home, baby. And this time he's bringing the gold.
That could have been the Miz celebrating.
I'll be honest, I don't remember a lot of this night. If you're just watching it, I'm like, yo, it's Alex Riley. Whoa. I was like, that's crazy. But Greg, I'm going to come to you because, again, this was on a random Monday Night Raw, right? And it happened, and in a blink of an eye, it was done. But there he is. He's in the annals of the, the old big gold over there. But what were your thoughts on this very short but sweet Rey Mysterio?
So at that time, I wasn't watching much. So, so watching it now, it's funny because I'm like, this is not major. And here's how you know. The Major brothers are the ones standing there. What main event talent? There's not one main event talent until Cena walks in and says, congrats, and walks off. Everybody else in there, mid-card to lower mid-card.
Yep.
There's not a Taker. There's not. I don't know who all was in this. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know who all was on the roster at the moment, but I know that those were not the main event players. And I'm like, Cena walks in, congrats. He walks out. I'm rewinding in my head back when Dusty won the title and Andre meets him in the locker room and Ronnie Garvin and I mean all the big boys of the NWA are in there. Like that's who's in there. Ray garners the mid-carders. Like that's Yeah, that's
Or
all
like
you have to
when
say.
Bret won WrestleMania 10.
Yeah, yeah, they all come out right. It
Mhm.
was huge, and that tells you all you need to know right there from a storytelling standpoint. Don't even send out anybody major for that.
That's a good
And
point.
let's just give
Very good
you
point.
15 seconds promo and then get you going because you probably can't do more than that at this point.
Yeah,
He
and
also sounded
and the thing
super
is,
tired.
and listening to that promo, and you talked about Dominic, I'm like, now I know he was a deadbeat dad then too, and it's like now that you know what he was like as a dad, he didn't deserve anything better.
No, of course not. Dang. See, Dominic's probably watching at home, seething at that point. Right? It's like, there he goes. This big gold, bigger than him. Adrian, thoughts? Because like Greg, I was in college at the time, and I will definitely call this a big. It was a big blind spot in my
Missing
pro
point?
wrestling
Yeah.
watching. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was aware of it because I still kept up with the dirt sheets, but I don't remember the promo. But your thoughts on it? Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a very good point, Greg, about the people in the background and their positions, perceived positions within that roster. But I will say, it felt good. It felt good. It felt like it's one of those after the Bulls win, the finals, you got champagne popping, everyone's cheering, everyone's happy with the champs and all that. That was a good moment. That felt good. I will give them credit. And I'll also give Rey Mysterio credit. That wasn't that half bad of a promo. I do kind of wish that his towel wasn't covering the belt, but these are all optics in that sense. I like the backstage I like the backstage post-match interview. I'm a fan of that, especially for someone like Ray to be a little bit more in a comfortable position, maybe we're talking, versus just right there with the crowd and all that in front of it. It was a different look. I like it. But we got to talk about Cena and how he was like a cloud. And
Yeah.
maybe it's hindsight because we're like, we obviously know what happens next, but like everything got quiet. Everything got quiet. It was like a dark cloud just immediately pulled up, shook his hand, kept it moving, and now everyone's back celebrating. So they were kind of like telling us like, it's about to go down, y'all. Don't get too comfortable, Ray. Don't get too comfortable.
And we're like in the midst of Super Cena, like not just
yeah,
like, oh, it's Super
yeah.
Cena. It's like this is how Super Cena got named, right?
Yes.
And it's like probably half of them are like legit, like, oh crap, I don't want to lose my spot. Don't say anything. Don't look him at the wrong way. There's the same time that I think Cole Cabana's back. I think he gets called up for like a spot for the month that he was there. And he goes up and just goes up to Cena. Yeah, Scotty Goldman. He goes up to Cena, just getting a haircut, right? And it's like, oh, the old high and tight. And Cena just lasers him and just doesn't say a word. So I'm like, yeah, it was like for sure there was some element of that going on. But yeah, it was a cool moment, and ultimately, I guess we know where it goes. But it is an interesting point I didn't see. It's like, you're right, it is a lot of the mid card. It was a very almost like we have to do this promo because of course he won. Like we have to talk to the champ, right? Type of thing. But it was unexpected, which I don't know if it was Crash TV or something at the time. Well, if you guys saw at the very beginning of it, one of the first guys that hits him with champagne is I said Zack Ryder, right? In full, woo 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 gimmick. The only thing I'll say that Rey Mysterio maybe should have thrown a little hootie hoo in there, but that's just for me. That gimmick should have worked longer. We're going to transition. I promise, everybody listening, you probably think I'm beating a dead horse. We will do the Zack Ryder episode. We're going to do a retrospective at some point. But Zack Ryder also had a victory at WrestleMania, an IC title victory. This is the post-match of that. And usually we're used to seeing Zack Ryder or Matt Cardone be this very very loud, very in your face, whatever gimmick he was going. I want you to pay attention to this promo because I think this is why it might be a little different than the rest.
Finally. Like after everything, 30 years I've been alive, I've wanted to be here. Be in the WWE, be a WWE superstar. Now I'm going to walk out of WrestleMania the WWE Intercontinental Champion. It's sick. Doesn't get any better than that.
So Zach, the backstage area exploded when they saw you win that title. What does it mean to have the support of your peers?
It's one thing to have the support of the WWE Universe, but it's another thing to have the support of the other guys on the roster. People were congratulating me just for even being in the match. So it means a lot that, the people, they think that highly of me, that I deserve to be in the match and that I deserve to be the Intercontinental Champion. Man, it's like an indescribable feeling.
And you've long talked about your battles with catering, just sitting around at shows, not doing anything.
Yeah.
And in the last 30 minutes, you haven't had a chance to catch your breath because you've just been from one corner to the next.
Yeah.
And everyone's starting to kind of pay attention to you a little bit. I mean, how does that feel?
I used to, even 2 weeks ago, go into Monday Night Raw just crossing my fingers that I was actually like on the lineup, on the show somewhere, whether it be like Superstars or Main Event or Raw or SmackDown. And now I just climbed the ladder at WrestleMania and I grabbed this, the Intercontinental Championship.
And one of the guys who congratulated you at the end was the same guy who you said you saw at WrestleMania 10. What did that mean, to come out as Intercontinental Champion?
I was at WrestleMania 10 when Ramon beat Shawn Michaels for the Intercontinental title. I have a picture, I've said it a bunch of different places, where I'm holding his Intercontinental title, and I got to go find him backstage, and I want him to hold my Intercontinental title. We need this picture.
I know. How great is that? Yeah.
It was your idea.
Yeah, man. He held mine when he was a little kid. Where did you see it back there?
All right, a very, very different type of promo, and it was those kind of early .com promos that I know they were cool because they never aired on TV. They strictly stuck on the website, but it was those kind of moments that I felt we would hopefully see more of. It just never materialized, obviously. Greg, I'm gonna come to you because we're talking about generations and looking at transitional champions for what they were. But here's a guy that grew up in the industry, grew up being an Uber fan as we know it now, right? And here he has this moment, right? And it's not the typical celebration that we usually see. Kind of what are your thoughts and him reminiscing and talking about that struggle?
Watching that, we talk about wrestling not being real or it's a work and all that kind of stuff, right? Watching that's showing you how real wrestling is.
Definitely.
And I'm like, if you really let yourself go, it can bring a tear to your eye because here's a dude who even up to that match was doing nothing. Like, I was at that show and it was like, I think that's when we met, right? Yeah. And nobody gave that dude a chance, but when he started climbing that ladder, that whole place was like, oh, please let this happen. Please let this happen. But nobody believed it until he grabbed it. Nobody in that building believed it until he grabbed it. And it was such a feel-good moment because it's those guys like that are real. And watching that promo, it was just real. There was no character work. There was no woo, woo, woo. Know it. None of that. It was like he was so happy. You could see it in his face when he talked to Razor. I mean, you could see like, this is cool. Like, and then you could see it in Razor's face, how happy he was. And I mean, to me, that, to your point, it's a promo, but it's not, if that makes sense. It's like just a real reaction. I love those types of things. And do I think it belongs on TV? Not necessarily, because it doesn't necessarily push the storyline or a narrative over there. And that's okay, right? There's a separation. But it's that type of thing that, man, it's just like it belongs in a documentary. It belongs in a story. It could belong in a, if you put it on TV, it belongs in a secondary piece, right? Like
Unreal.
Yeah, Unreal, or like when they did the sit down interviews back in the day with Triple H and Mankind, that kind of thing, like to get that character to the next level. But I loved it.
Yeah.
It was just because I'm a fan of him. I'm a fan of wrestlers who were fans.
Definitely.
In general. And that's what I loved about it. I mean, I know I'm just rambling at this point, but it's just it's also cool because the way he won it. I mean, not just the fact that he had razors on his shoulder and then Razor puts on his. They won it in the same manner. On a ladder. And I'm sure you guys have heard it, and if you haven't, listen to other talent that was on that show, in that match, laying on the floor watching it. They said they were having goosebump moments watching him climb that ladder. And and
the stadium was rocking.
Yeah, and the fact he lost it the next night, nobody cared. I mean, we cared, but it was like that moment was so cool. It didn't diminish the moment.
Well, having seen it live and seeing the aftermath, how does this play for you, Adrian? Because to Greg's point, it's like it's a very different, very demure looking Ryder, but here's this amazing moment, probably in a huge adrenaline high, right? From what I'm hearing.
Well, I'll give you background on it because going into that WrestleMania, they had issues accepting tickets. Now, Greg, I don't know if you remember this, but like when they started the pre-show, I want to say pre-show was like Ryback. Who was Ryback facing, Greg? Or do you remember?
I don't remember, but I think that's when Ryback had the didn't he have like pre-show stopper or something like that on it? Like he was the pre-show.
I want to say it was like the United States Championship, Kalisto. Okay. Correct. So when you go back and watch it, you're not going to see a lot of fans in the stands. And the reason why is because that stadium, Jerry World, had an issue, some kind of glitch where they couldn't scan tickets. And the only reason why I'm saying all of this is I was lucky enough to get past it before the issue started to go down.
Wow.
And that's a huge stadium. And I'm wondering, watching it, I'm like, man, there's nobody here. Like, I'm wondering, like, man, are they gonna, is this gonna be a disaster and all that? The reason why I bring that up, the floodgates open during that ladder match. And I'll always remember this because the more people were coming in, that was while the ladder match was going on. And that's why I specifically feel it and remember how everybody was woo, woo, woo. When he was getting, like, we were like, Zack is so close. He's so close. He was the last second addition to it because wasn't it supposed to be Pac, I want to say?
Yeah,
or
something like
Neville.
that.
Neville was supposed to be here, but he got hurt. But that's what I always remember. And that's one of my favorite WrestleMania moments because, it was pure emotion where everybody's cheering for this dude who just hadn't caught a break just yet, during that run. And his gear was fire. Because I remember during the entrance when I remember when Sami came out, I was hyped because that was Sami's like first Mania, if I'm not mistaken. And I definitely remember Zack coming out and everybody popping because we were like, we don't know if he's not going to win. That was the foregone conclusion. Right. This guy's not going to win. So let's go ahead and blow the roof off for this dude. And sure enough, he freaking wins it. And I met Razor that Mania. So that holds a special place in my heart. Yeah.
It's awesome. It's really cool. Yeah, I mean, to both y'all's points, it's like it's just cool to see a guy that at least because of social media, right? Because we were able to keep up with him and get a sense of who he was, maybe way after the fact of like the meteoric rise that he had at that point. I still remember that what is a Monday Night Raw where Punk is champion and he brings out Zack Ryder and he brings out Daniel Bryan to like celebrate, to like, hey, this this is your new generation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it didn't work out quite that way, but it was cool for the moment. And this is kind of like that make good, like, hey, here it is, right? And so many of the opportunities, I know he uses it as a gimmick, like that always ready thing, but hey, man, he had his gear, he's jacked, he's always jacked, so he was always ready for the moment, even if it was going to be a one night deal. But yeah, I thought it was a really unique one because I don't think I've ever seen him this out of character, maybe on his podcast pretty much, but I mean, he's not promoting there or anything.
It's authentic, man. It was an authentic reaction.
Super.
And I love it. Like that, those are the kind of reasons that we enjoyed that WWE.com feature. Because it was some of those, but also those were, we talked about it, about those kind of New Day just riffing promos and just all kinds of stuff. And I mean, I don't know if they still do that on YouTube. I'm pretty sure they do. But at this point, back then it was something different and new and fresh. So kudos for them to even push that kind of idea.
And shout out to that .com team, because there was a lot of work they did that just never materialized because they were not quite with the online piece of it all.
True.
But listeners, y'all, let us know what you thought about these promos. Who are your favorite transitional champions? Who are those folks that really do it for you? And, so we talked about a lot of huge, pro wrestling talent, Hall of Famers here. Let us know in the comments. And what are your thoughts on transitional champions? But again, what a great conversation. We close on a real high note here with someone who loves the game in the same way that we love pro wrestling. And 100%. We talk about the promos every week this way. And again, we hype the hype man. Pontificate up on the promos, and we just love this space because we could focus on the moves and the backstage politics, and we do talk about it here and there, but there's something kind of evergreen about just the oldest form of entertainment, which is telling stories and
he dropped off.
Yeah,
he was cooking. All right, y'all, listen, thank you all for checking us out. Shout out to you. Like, comment, subscribe. As always, go to intothebuilding.com. That will bring you to our back catalog. We're at episode 99 here. Next week will be episode 100. We're always looking forward to it. For Adelaide out west, shout out to him. He's somewhere. And here in the great state of Georgia, you got Greg and, of course, Adrian. We're Talk 'em in the Building, a pro wrestling podcast that puts the focus on the promo, talk about the talkers, we hype the hype man, and of course we pontificate upon the promo. We'll see you next week. Peace.
You don't know what